My name is Ava Mitchell, and for the first 16 years of my life, it was just me and my dad, Jonathan Mitchell. He was my world, my protector, my mentor, my best friend. We weren't rich, but our house in suburban Colorado always felt full of laughter, full of love, full of warmth. That changed the day Dad married Melissa Carter. She entered our lives like a storm, beautiful, polished, always smiling. The kind of smile that never reached the eyes. Standing beside her were her two children, Sophie, 18, always scrolling on her phone, and Liam, 20, who looked at me like I was invisible. At the wedding, Melissa hugged me and said, "We're a family now, Ava." But even then, something in her touch felt cold. 2 weeks after the wedding, my new family moved into our home. That's when the rules started. 1. My bedroom was moved. Melissa wanted the bigger one for Sophie. 2. My bathroom shelf was removed. Too crowded. 3. My seat at the dining table changed, next to the kitchen door. 4. My dad's time was controlled. Melissa insisted they have private evenings. Dad tried to make peace. "Ava, just give them time. It's an adjustment for everyone." But every week, it got worse. They decorated the house with Melissa's furniture. They replaced Dad's old pictures with family portraits that didn't include me. They invited relatives and kept introducing me as, "This is Ava, Jonathan's daughter." Not their family, not our family, just a guest. A guest in my own home. One afternoon, I came home from school and found Melissa in my room. No, the smaller room she forced me into, packing my childhood books into boxes. "What are you doing?" She didn't even look sorry. "Oh, sweetheart, these old things take too much space. We need the closet for Sophie's clothing." She tossed all my belongings into the garage. I complained to Dad. He rubbed his forehead, exhausted. "Ava, don't start. Melissa says you don't help around the house. At least try to get along." It hit me like ice water. He was slowly slipping away from me, pulled by Melissa's perfectly manicured fingers. One night, I overheard voices from the living room. Melissa: "She's 16. She should be more independent." Dad: "She is. She's doing great." Melissa: "Jonathan, she doesn't belong here. This house is our fresh start." Dad went silent. Melissa pushed harder. "She can spend weekends with your sister. Give her space." Space? They wanted me gone? My heart shattered. That was the first night I cried myself to sleep. 3 months later, Dad died in a car accident. I remember the moment like a scar carved into my memory. Police knocking on the door, Melissa screaming dramatically, Sophie crying like it was a movie scene, Liam staring blankly, and me. My voice gone, my legs numb, my world collapsing. Dad was gone. But what Melissa said the very next morning hit me harder than the news. "We need to discuss living arrangements. Your dad handled all the finances. I can't support you and my kids." I whispered, "This is my house." She smiled, cold, venomous. "Not anymore." Days after the funeral, Melissa revealed a folder full of papers. "I spoke with a lawyer. Your father didn't leave a will. Legally, this house belongs to me now." I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. "I'll let you stay, temporarily, but don't get comfortable." From that moment, they treated me worse. Melissa used my room for storage. Sophie locked the refrigerator when Melissa wasn't home, and Liam called me the leftover. They hosted dinner parties and made me eat in the kitchen. One night at dinner, Melissa said, "Ava, you should consider foster care or staying with relatives. This house, it's not really yours." I stood up shaking. "It was my home before any of you existed." Melissa smirked. "And now it's not. Accept it."
I realized something horrifying. They didn't just want me gone, they wanted to erase me completely. A month after Dad's death, while cleaning the garage, I found a box labeled "For Ava. Do not open until necessary." I froze. I opened it slowly. Inside were photographs of me and Dad, old birthday cards, a USB drive, and a sealed envelope addressed to me. My fingers trembled as I opened the letter. "Ava, if anything happens to me, and if Melissa tries to push you out, remember this. I planned ahead. I knew my health wasn't stable. You have more rights than they want you to believe." My heart pounded. "Take the USB to Mr. Harrison. He knows what to do." Mr. Harrison? Dad's old lawyer. The next morning, I took the USB and letter and went straight to him. He read the letter and his eyes went wide. "Your father, he was smarter than anyone realized." He plugged in the USB. A video opened. Dad was sitting at his desk, speaking directly into the camera. My knees almost buckled. "Ava, if you're watching this, Melissa has taken over. I'm sorry. I should have protected you better. So I made sure the law will." He picked up a document. "I filed this 4 months ago. A new will and a property transfer document. The house legally belongs to you. Not Melissa, not anyone." I gasped. Mr. Harrison smiled. "Your father left you everything, and Melissa doesn't know." But his expression darkened. "There's more, and it's big." He handed me the file. "Your father added a clause. If Melissa tries to claim ownership, manipulate finances, or mistreat you, she loses all rights to any shared assets." My hand shook violently. Mr. Harrison continued, "And, legally, this will overturn every claim she has made." A sudden realization hit me. This one document, this one video, this one will was about to destroy everything Melissa built. It was going to turn the entire house upside down. Mr. Harrison asked, "Are you ready to fight for your father's legacy?" I wiped my tears. Yes. Melissa and her children had no idea a legal storm was coming. While they laughed in the living room, planning a vacation with my father's money, I was gathering every document, Dad's newest will, property transfer, bank statements, messages, surveillance footage, the USB video, and proof of mistreatment. Mr. Harrison filed everything. Then he delivered the official notice. "You are ordered to appear in court for fraudulent property claims and beneficiary manipulation." Melissa's reaction was nothing short of priceless. She screamed, threw the letter, and shouted, "Ava is lying. Jonathan would never leave her everything." But she had no evidence. I had all of it. The night before court, I looked at Dad's picture and whispered, "I'm ready, Dad. I'll protect what you left me." What I didn't know was court wasn't going to be the final explosion, because someone unexpected was coming to the hearing. Someone who knew the darkest secret Melissa kept hidden, and someone who would make the courtroom shake. Dad's hands were trembling when he pushed the envelope toward me. Melissa's fingers twitched like she desperately wanted to snatch it back. I sat down slowly, feeling everyone's eyes burning into me. Dad whispered, "Ava, I should have told you sooner." My pulse hammered in my ears. I opened the envelope. Inside was a folded stack of legal papers, each stamped with an attorney's seal. The sound of the paper cracking open felt louder than anything I'd ever heard. At the top of the first page were 2 heavy words. Last will. My breathing stopped. It was my biological mother's will, The one Dad had kept hidden? The one Melissa clearly didn't want me to read. For a moment, the room spun. Melissa stepped forward sharply. "Jonathan, this isn't good for her mental." Dad lifted his hand to silence her. "She deserves to know." His voice was firm, firmer than I'd heard in months. I began reading. My mother's handwriting appeared at the bottom of the will. Soft, neat, familiar, even though I barely remembered her. One paragraph stood out. "To my daughter, Ava Mitchell, I leave full ownership of the Mitchell residence and the adjoining land. No other party shall claim rights to it until she reaches 18. Jonathan Mitchell shall be temporary guardian and caretaker of the property until then." My hands went.
Dad contacted a lawyer, attorney Grace Hall, known for being calm, brilliant, and ruthless in court. When she arrived at our house, she didn't waste time. She spread Melissa's claims across the living room table and analyzed every detail like a surgeon. "Ava," she said, turning to me, "your stepmother is trying to argue that this house counted as marital property because she lived here." Dad clenched his jaw. "She lived here less than 2 months." Grace nodded, "And that works in our favor. But she is also making emotional claims, saying you bullied her children." My face burned. "I never bullied them. They ignored me, took my things, treated me like I didn't exist." Grace gave a small, reassuring smile. "That's exactly why we'll win." She pulled out another sheet, but one thing changes everything. She lifted a document sealed in an envelope. I recognized Mom's handwriting immediately, her private letter from the night before. Grace laid it flat. "This is your mother's handwritten directive. With this, Melissa has no case. None." Dad exhaled deeply. "But," Grace added, "the court doesn't know this letter exists yet, and when Melissa's side sees it, it will destroy her argument." Dad looked confused. "So what's the catch?" Grace leaned forward. "Ava will have to testify." My stomach twisted. "Testify in court?" Grace nodded slowly. "This letter is powerful, but the judge will want to hear your experience. Your voice will determine the outcome." Dad touched my shoulder gently. "You don't have to do it if you feel scared." But I surprised myself. I wasn't scared. Not anymore. "I'll testify," I said. Grace smiled. "Good, because Melissa won't see it coming." The courthouse lobby smelled like old wood and coffee. People rushed around, papers in hand, voices echoing off marble floors. Dad walked beside me, stiff and silent. Melissa sat across the hallway with her lawyer and her kids. Chloe avoided my eyes. Ethan stared at the floor. But Melissa? Oh, Melissa looked like she was starring in her own dramatic soap opera. Red lipstick, dark dress, a fake, sad expression. When she saw me, she whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear, "Unbelievable! That girl ruined everything." Grace stepped forward. "Mrs. Carter, please refrain from speaking to my client." Melissa smirked, but turned away. Soon, the courtroom door opened. Case 1182, Carter versus Mitchell. Dad squeezed my hand. This was it. Inside, we sat at one table, while Melissa and her lawyer sat at the other. The judge, a stern woman with silver hair and steel eyes, entered. "Let's begin." Melissa's lawyer stood first. "Your Honor, my client was forced out of her marital home. She suffered emotional distress. Her children were mistreated. She deserves her share of the property." Melissa dabbed her eyes with a tissue, pretending to cry. Grace leaned toward me and whispered, "Watch this fall apart." Melissa was called first. She walked to the witness stand, head bowed dramatically. "Melissa Carter," the clerk read, "do you swear to tell the truth?" Melissa lifted a trembling hand. "I do." She began. "Ava was cruel to my children. She refused to share space. She made us feel unwelcome. Grace stood instantly. "Objection. Speculation." "Sustained," the judge said. Melissa blinked, startled.
She continued with exaggerated sighs and dramatic pauses. I loved Jonathan. I tried to create a family for us all. But Ava pushed us out. Grace interrupted again. Your Honor, may I question the witness? Proceed. Grace approached slowly, confidently. Mrs. Carter, how long did you live in the Mitchell home? Melissa hesitated. Almost 2 months. And during this time, did you sign any property agreements? Grace asked. No. Did Ava ever verbally threaten you? No, but did she ever physically harm your children? No. Grace tilted her head. So your entire claim is based on feelings? Melissa stiffened. I was emotionally abused. By a 16-year-old girl? Melissa faltered. Grace delivered the blow. Mrs. Carter, isn't it true that you left the house voluntarily after screaming at Ava and insulting her mother? Silence. Melissa's face went pale. Even Chloe was shocked. The judge looked unimpressed. No further questions, Grace said. Melissa stumbled back to her seat. My legs felt heavy as I stood and walked to the front. The clerk gave me the oath. My voice shook slightly. I do. Grace spoke gently. Ava, how did your stepfamily treat you? I swallowed. They treated me like I didn't belong. They ate without me, watched TV without me, took my things, called me dramatic, treated me like I didn't exist. Grace gave a small, reassuring smile. Did you ever threaten them? No. Did you ever insult them? No. And did your stepmother ever insult you? I nodded. She said my mother raised me wrong, and she said my mom wouldn't want me. A gasp echoed from the audience. Even the judge blinked. Grace stepped back. No further questions. Melissa's lawyer stood. Ava, isn't it true you ignored your stepmother? I didn't ignore her. She ignored me first. Isn't it true you refused to share your mother's room? That room is all I had left of her. Ah, he said, smirking. So you were selfish. Grace slammed her hand on the table. Objection! Sustained, the judge snapped. Counselor, watch your tone. The lawyer backed down quickly. No more questions. Grace stood, holding a large, sealed envelope. Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would like to present a document written by the late Mrs. Emily Mitchell. Melissa froze. Her lawyer stiffened. The judge nodded. Grace handed the document to the bailiff, who delivered it to the judge. The judge read silently. Her stern expression softened. This changes things. Grace addressed the court. This letter clearly states that the house belongs to Ava Mitchell, held in trust by her father until she came of age. Mrs. Mitchell specifies that no future spouse shall have control of or claim on the property. Gasps echoed. Melissa's face turned ghost white. Her kids stared at her in shock. Grace continued. Mrs. Carter had no legal right to the home. Her claim is invalid. All accusations appear retaliatory. Therefore, we request dismissal. Melissa shot to her feet. No, this isn't fair. I deserve something. I married him. The judge slammed her gavel. Sit down, Mrs. Carter. Melissa froze, shaking. The judge spoke clearly, powerfully, decisively. This court rules in favor of Ava Mitchell. The property belongs solely to Ava. All claims by Mrs. Carter are dismissed. The courtroom erupted. Dad hugged me, shaking. You did it, he whispered. I'm so proud of you. But the drama wasn't over. As the courtroom emptied, Chloe and Ethan approached me hesitantly. Chloe spoke first. Ava, I'm sorry. I blinked. For what? For everything. Mom lied to us. She told us you hated us, but she was wrong. Ethan nodded quietly. We didn't know. Before I could reply, Melissa grabbed their wrists. Don't talk to her. Chloe yanked her arm free. No, Mom, we're tired of your lies. Ethan stepped back. I want to stay with Dad and Ava. Melissa gasped. You ungrateful. Grace intervened calmly. Mrs. Carter, threatening minors in a courthouse is a bad idea. Melissa froze again, shaking with anger and humiliation. Chloe looked at me with teary eyes. Maybe we can visit sometime. I smiled softly. Yeah, maybe. Dad placed his arms around us all. For the first time, we felt like a family, a real family. Months passed. Life returned to peace. No more yelling, no more slamming doors, no more feeling invisible. Dad renovated the house. Fresh paint, warm colors, new memories. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Dad spoke. Ava, I never realized how strong your mother made you. I smiled. She knew we'd need it. Dad looked at me proudly. This house is yours, but more importantly, this life is yours. I leaned on his shoulder, and for the first time in a long time, I felt safe. At home. Not a guest, not an outsider. Just Ava.